is intended only for mature audiences.
Open your ears and lube up your butthole. It's time for the What Do We Call It podcast. Now, here's your host. It's Jmann. Welcome to the What Do We Call It podcast. I'm Jmann.
This is Steiny.
Let's talk about immigration.
Oh, fun.
I feel like this is one of those things where you might get a little fiery again.
Never know.
I am not a fan of the way that Donald Trump is weaponizing ICE to put fear into Hispanic communities, and they're seemingly grabbing whoever the fuck they please. They're detaining people that leave the country and try to come back in that were citizens, obviously, and that they're not being utilized, ICE I mean, for their intended purpose to the degree with which we've seen to success in the past. I don't remember there ever being a time in our society in the last 5, 10, 15, 20 years where they were basically doing these fucking raids in major like car plants or benefit clinics or attorneys' offices and law centers.
Or immigration courts. They're snatching people who are trying to go to their hearings.
Yeah. I don't view all of these people that are getting swept up in this shit as being so dangerous that we need to treat them all like criminals. I still don't know what to make of the Kilmar Abrego Garcia thingy.
Yeah, that whole saga.
Jesus Christ. They snatched him up. They deported him. They said he was a gang member. We got him back here.
Yep.
And when he got back here, they were going to try him on charges of human trafficking. And they didn't exactly have the greatest fucking case. So then they're like, well, fuck you for pointing out that we're flimsily trying to not admit that we fucked up by sending you to the basic Guantanamo Bay of El Salvador or wherever the fuck it was.
Yep.
We're gonna send you to a country you've never been to.
Africa?
I don't even know how the fuck that works.
Yeah.
And the whole thing, instead of saying we went too far, it just kept snowballing. And they're showing images of tattoos. I mean, there was even a video where Charlie Kirk showed a picture of the tattoos on the knuckles. Mm-hmm. And he's like, they're saying these are gang tattoos. They look like gang tattoos. And the kid's like, nah, that's Photoshop, bro. That's Photoshop. He's like, this is not Photoshop. Those are the actual tattoos. What his wife did was try to take an altered version of this and put it out there. But this is the original picture of the tattoos. I don't know if he's a gang member, past or present. I don't fucking know. But I know that a lot of men in El Salvador for decades were forced to join gangs because they were basically kidnapped in their early tweens and teens and made to work for these gangs to make money or face death. Mm-hmm. A lot of people probably were forced into that life that didn't want to be, and then they escaped it by coming here. Now, you can't hold what happened there under those terms against them here unless they're coming here and engaging in criminal enterprises and shit like that. You got the apartment building in Denver that they showed that was allegedly taken over
by MS-13 or whatever. No, it was the other one.
Tren de Agua.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Or whatever the fuck. I'm butchering their name, but either way, they said, oh, look at what's going on here. I don't know if that's real or not. It could be. So additionally, now in Minnesota, we have the largest concentration of Somali immigrants in the nation.
Yep.
People jokingly call Minneapolis Somaliapolis. They call the Cedar Riverside neighborhood Little Somalia or Little Mogadishu. There's even a Somalia street down there.
We used to call the what used to be called the crack stacks from the 80s and 90s because of the crime and drug use there.
Yeah.
They got taken over by the Somali immigrants because they were the cheapest place to live, and so they became affectionately known as the Somali villas.
And it's Section 8.
Yep.
I pay attention to the jail rosters. Hennepin, Ramsey, Anoka County.
Yeah, you've always done that. Yeah.
I've always done that, and I can tell you, from my research, as best as I can say, it appears the largest growing segment of the criminal population is Somali offenders, and they are, by and large, more often than not, committing sex crimes.
I was going to ask what the offenses were.
There's so many sex crimes that you're like, what the fuck is going on? Why is that? I remember years ago there was a story of a rideshare driver that picked a chick up, and instead of taking her to where he was supposed to drive her, he's like, no, we're not going there. And he basically pulled a Captain Phillips on her vagina and pulled over somewhere and raped her. There is a problem in Hennepin County with County Attorney Mary Moriarty. She's soft on crime.
That's what I've heard. I've heard a lot of people complain about.
A lot of the carjacking problem that we had in and around Minneapolis the last year and a half, it was not as bad. Then it got terrible. Then it got a little less terrible. Now it's slightly less than less terrible.
Right.
It's still not great. The majority of those kids, it was catch and release, and they would say they were black. But I'm telling you that from what I can best surmise from my reading is that there's a number of these carjackings being done by Somalis. And I'm not trying to go all anti-Somali here. I know how it sounds where I'm leading with this. But here's an incident from a few days ago. There was a gentleman. I don't remember his name. You can look it up. It was in the Twin Cities Crime Watch Facebook group. They showed his mugshot. He got arrested from being, I believe it was the Bloomington Target. He's walking around, pulling his dick out, jerking off. He walked behind a chick, rubbed his dick on the back of her pants. He fucking flashed his dick to women and their kids. He just walked around openly masturbating. They have him on fucking camera doing it. Multiple parts of the store. Additionally, earlier in the day, there was something similar that happened at a local dollar store nearby. Mm-hmm. Now, this guy had been arrested recently for another fifth-degree crim sex charge. That's just groping.
Just groping,
Yeah. And he was released. And then he has a charge from last year, I believe it was in December, caught with a submachine gun. He had a weapon he shouldn't have had. They gave him bail. He's still awaiting that trial, and then he cops the fifth-degree crim sex charge. They don't hold him, even though he's violated the terms of that release.
Yeah.
And then he, again, within a day and a half of being released on the fifth-degree crim sex charge, is jerking off in public in multiple retail places in front of children.
This guy's got a mental handicap, then.
Does he, though, or is he just a fucking horn dog? Because if you look at all the sex crimes, it's the males committing them. It's not the females.
Right. I mean, it may say something to their society then and how they're able, what they're allowed to release. You know what I mean? Like, as a kid growing up, I remember sex ed, they taught you that masturbation was normal. So I think a lot of kids in America got that idea. And I'm not saying they've figured it out because we have a lot of mass murderers and mass shooters, right? That they don't seem to have figured it out. But I just wonder if something's different in that Muslim Somali community then.
I'm pretty sure you can't just openly jerk off in front of people at the store. Call it a hunch.
But maybe these things happen more in other countries and we don't know. Maybe this is going on in other third world countries quite more often than how would we ever know?
Well, that is a fair point, but I will say the adage goes, import the third world, become the third world.
Right.
I know you've heard that.
Right. Yes, I've heard that. But, look at India. India has been probably one of the worst places to go if you're a young woman, right?
Yeah.
They've been gang raping women on buses and trains for a while, and they're working really hard to stop it. Still, I don't understand why some cultures seem to
gravitate towards sexual assault because they view
certain
women not
types
as
of it.
equals but as property.
Well, yeah,
They're
I shouldn't see why. I mean, obviously there are some reasons why.
You don't understand why they still think like that in this
Yes,
time?
Right. Well, because they are not nearly advanced as we are, which seems to be stepping backwards, right, in this day and age when it comes to a lot of issues.
Well, to be kind of gauche with how I word this, there's a lot of arranged marriage and cousin fucking in the Somali community.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So there's a certain degree of inbreeding,
still
which means that the intelligence level comes out lower.
Unfortunately, that usually does happen with a skinny family tree.
Yeah. Related. In the UK, and also France and Germany, and I believe Italy, they have a huge problem with asylum seekers migrating there. And they come in, they don't assimilate, and they don't get jobs, and they live off of government aid, and they commit crimes. And in the UK especially, it's fucking terrible. Not just around like London, but there's photos, videos of just dozens of Muslim men, asylum seekers hanging out in the streets in Ireland, in Scotland. It's like this all over the place, and they come and they get all this government aid, and then that money that could be used for natural-born Britons is going towards these migrants. You had a right-wing rally recently over there that 100,000 people, I shit you not, 100,000 people they estimated attended this fucking thing against the open borders. And the open borders are the problem. And there's people in America that are like, we should have open borders here. Have you not fucking learned anything from what's gone on in England, in Ireland, in Scotland, in Spain, in Italy, in Germany, in France? The entire European Union, including England, even though the whole Brexit thing, all of those countries need to band together and close their borders to these asylum seekers, because if it's a problem and you're seeing it repeatedly and it's becoming habitual and it's now bringing down society as the whole, and you know it's the problem, why wouldn't you fix the problem by kicking all these fuckers out? And that's what I'm driving at here, is you got like this fucking Somali guy that was jacking off at Target. Now, we could throw all the resources in the world at trying to understand him and cure him and teach him and this, that, and the other. Or instead of worried about hardworking Hispanics in this country, because I don't know any Mexican gangbangers or Latino gangbangers. You know what I know? I know the guy that cleans the fucking building where I work who's Mexican, and he's one of the nicest fucking guys I've ever met. There's another guy that used to work there. He got injured. He had to leave. That was on my crew. One of the nicest fucking guys I've ever met. Wherever I go anywhere and I meet Hispanic people and I talk to them, they're kind, they're family-oriented. They just want to come here and work. They want to get away from the murder and the crime in Mexico and come to the United States and assimilate and fucking make a difference and contribute. And then we get all these fucking pieces of shit from the Horn of Africa that come to our state and are living off of fucking government feed bag stipends, and then they're using all these programs and abusing it, because another thing in the news lately is DHS cracking down on all this fucking fraud of all these Somali motherfuckers that are creating these false goddamn causes to get state aid and federal dollars that they then use to then fucking send it back home to their people so more can come here and continue the cycle. And we're not being able to account for all this money that should be going to families in this state that need the help with SNAP benefits, with medical benefits, with heat assistance. I'm not saying everybody should be on the feed bag like a fucking bleeding heart liberal progressive would, but I'm telling you that there's people that deserve help to rise above their station, and they can't get it because all those dollars are being diverted to these fucking Mogadishan pieces of shit that come here, and they fucking commit fraud so they can buy cars and condos and fucking live the fat life. They're not helping other people out. And then they just get caught and they change the name of the company that they use and they have a brand new grift. So instead of getting rid of all the Hispanics, why the fuck does ICE not focus on all these Somalis and these Muslim asylum seekers and these people that come here from those fucking countries that come here and commit crimes, definable, actionable, punishable crimes that they're being arrested for? Why the fuck are they not being loaded in C-130s and flown the fuck back to where they came from?
You know, it's interesting because you would have thought, at least me, one of the old quotes I remember hearing, what was it, a Grand Dragon or wizard of the Ku Klux Klan say that we hate everybody equally.
Yeah.
But they still have a list, an order of
a hierarchy of
who
you hate the most.
Right? But I kind of thought, with this current administration and kind of the inherent racism behind it, that you would thought that, yeah, they would just go after everybody, right? And everybody, well, at least white America, would be happy, right? Because they're getting rid of all of them. But it just goes to show you how selective they're really being. They have been worried about Latino and Mexican and Spanish-speaking people for a long time. There was projections, I remember, years ago saying that it was one of the fastest-growing voter blocks in the country. I think conservatives see them as voting, even though they're Catholic and very conservative in their religion,
yeah,
a lot of them, very liberal in some of their voting. Look at how New Mexico changed from a red state to a blue state within the last 20 years. Same with Arizona. Arizona is now becoming a purple state. California has been solid blue for a really long time. Texas isn't getting that close, but it's definitely becoming more democratic than it was in the past. And maybe that just speaks to our politics in general, where everything is becoming a little bit more purple than it was, maybe say traditionally red or blue. But to me, it seems like there's something more behind it. Because I question the same thing. Why is it only Mexican people? Why were there quotas, right? Why were they not deporting enough people when all of a sudden you had Stephen Miller saying, let's go to the Home Depots, let's go to these fields, right? We're cracking down on the people doing jobs that regular Americans don't want to do. They don't want to demean themselves and do. I remember back in 2008 when we had that last crash, or 2006, right, when everything started going way downhill. I know people that would rather sit on their ass and collect unemployment at a 60% of their normal wage than get on their feet and do a job that was less than they should be doing, right? That demeaned them. They were going to be they couldn't clean floors, right? They weren't going to go and roof a house, right? They were above that.
People I know did that during COVID.
The Beast
herself refused to get another job when the restaurants closed because she's a waitress by trade.
There you go.
And I'm like, go do this, go do that, go do this. And she's like, no, I don't want to do that. I'm like, well, I'm not used to making hourly wage. I'm used to going and making tips. I'm like, you can't fucking do that right now. You still have to provide and pay your bills, you idiot.
Correct.
And all these people, like you're saying, that feel like they're below custodial work, below menial construction day laboring.
Yep.
You still have to earn a fucking living, whether you think that the job is above you or not. I have a bachelor's degree and I work in a fucking warehouse because I got sick of jobs that were so stressful and involved dealing with the courts and so much responsibility.
Absolutely.
So now I just take boxes off the shelves where I work and put them on pallets and send those pallets to other warehouses where they take the boxes off the pallet and put it on their shelves.
Isn't it great?
It works easy for me.
Yeah.
But we got all these people that ran for the hills the second they said they were going to fucking crack down. They were scared shitless. So suddenly farmers didn't have anybody to harvest produce or to help out with any of that shit.
Poor Carrie Underwood didn't have anybody to help on her ranch. She didn't know what she was going to do.
God damn it. She's going to need Jesus to take the wheel.
I think so. And the plow and, the feed bag and everything else.
Would you?
Even post, yeah, she's got the MAGA face, but yeah, between this won't make it to air, but yeah.
Oh, no, it's going to make it to air. It doesn't mean you can say that you find somebody attractive, and if you were, single and you for some reason found yourself in a situation.
Let's take this back in time.
Okay.
Let's take it back in time, like 10 years ago, absolutely. Now, no.
Really?
No.
I would, because she kind of looks like Hillary Duff.
Ooh.
And
that's a weird connection.
I like Hillary Duff. I think
she's
very
so
attractive.
Broken?
No.
Oh, no, that's the other. I'm thinking of the other, like, Disney kid. Wasn't not Hillary Duff? Wasn't. No, what was the one that, like, became like an alcoholic?
Well, that could be a number of former Nickelodeon actors and shit. Like Britney Spears is broken.
Oh, yeah.
But Christina Aguilera is not.
Are you sure? She did The Voice for a while.
Would.
Or was it The Idol?
Those fucking mom titties. Her mom bod is super hot. This has nothing to do with immigration and everything to do with Christina Aguilera's titties. And I want to pop that genie out the bottle.
It took a right turn there at the end, didn't it?
So I'm mad about all the Somali crime, and I definitely would like to come on Christina Aguilera's mom tits. But the Somali crime. Now, I don't want to just make it about Somalis. Any segment of the population that is immigrants that come here, and they refuse to assimilate, and they're on the feed bag of government assistance services and entitlement programs, and they're committing crimes. I think that at a certain point, you just... Bye-bye. Fucking get rid of them.
So here's an interesting part. I don't think you find anybody that disagrees with the fact or with your statement there, right? I know many people who are very left of center who would agree that yes, if they are committing crimes, we do not want them here. Unfortunately, it's pretty hard to get a country to take back a criminal, right? If they're here, like if they committed the crime here, it's really hard for the country that they're from to say, oh yeah, let's give them back here and let's put them in our jails and put them as a strain on our system.
Oh, you don't even have to put them in their jails. You just fucking fly them there and drop them off and say, figure it out, fucker. You came from here or your family's from here.
Maybe that's what Trump's doing. I know in the case of Europe has been on a population decline for many decades, right? And so in some ways, many of these countries were looking at these refugees as an influx of people that were going to help their countries in some ways. They were going to be more manpower when it came to manufacturing, right? They were figuring a lot of their people had been, like in the U.S., progressed to a certain level to where they weren't going to do certain jobs. So then these people were going to come in and fill some of those lower level jobs. And some of them are. Right? But you're right.
But not enough to offset what's really going on and being a detriment to society over there.
Right. But Well, I don't know about a detriment to society. I look at it similarly to what happened here in the United States. We've had different groups of people come in at different times, and each one of them brings with them their own culture, a bit of their own culture, right? And they take a while to assimilate that culture, but their culture then becomes part of the United States, right? We've had it happen with the Irish. We had it happen with many a black culture from Africa. Forcefully, they were forced to come here.
The Midwest also, the upper Midwest was Scandinavians.
Scandinavians in the Midwest. You had a lot of Italians and Irish out east, right? You still have a lot of Hispanics and Mexicans in the Southwest part of the United States. You have a lot of Asian people on the West Coast of the United States, right? It has always happened here, and it takes a while, but don't you love our food because of it? Don't you love everything we have that a lot of these cultures who have been here for a while and have assimilated, right? They're fully American just like the rest of us. It's the ones that haven't fully assimilated that you're not on the board with, right?
Well,
you're not so kosher with. And I think that's similar with what's going on in Europe right now, right? A lot of these cultures that are coming in, they're not assimilating to that whatever country they're going to. And
by choice.
The French are pissed. The Germans are not happy. Obviously, the Brits are not happy about it, right? You come here, you're expected to subscribe to a certain amount of rules. The problem is if your culture is relatively new here, you don't understand those rules yet. Even here, we have another culture that has been here for a few more decades than the Somalis, right? The Laotians, yes, the Hmongs, the Cambodians, all them.
I'm cool with them.
They came here in the 70s. They didn't come here in the 90s. They've been here for another 2 decades. And I think they probably faced a lot of backlash that we weren't aware of in probably the 70s and 80s because we were just kids then, or not even born then yet.
I have to believe that they weren't by and large committing crimes at the volume that the Somali population in Minnesota is. But then when we're talking about people that won't assimilate, there's people that refuse to assimilate.
True. And that's, I wonder, part of it as well with the Somali community. Is there this great evil? Even though we're here now, we still don't want to subscribe to a lot of Western ideas.
Well, I kind of planted the seed a few episodes ago that I wanted to talk about what's going on in Dearborn, Michigan. Dearborn, Michigan, the city that elected a Muslim to the mayor's office, who then selected a new chief of police who's also Muslim. There's videos.
A suburb of Detroit?
Let me ask Professor Google really quick here.
I'm just guessing this isn't happening out in Ann Arbor or something near the University of Michigan.
Dearborn has a large and prominent Muslim and Arab population. It's the first Arab majority city in the U.S. And what I have seen, and some of it is about to drum up fear. That I think that's why they showed it. But there's video of guys waving foreign flags, ISIS-looking flags, marching in the streets, men, wearing their Muslim garb. And it's to celebrate their culture, not to celebrate America. They're not waving American flags. They're even burning American flags and stepping on them.
Which technically our First Amendment gives them the right to do.
But people have talked about, like, if we've got this Muslim mayor and we've got this Muslim chief of police, and the city is, by and large, mostly Muslim, they feel like they're one cunt hair away from eventually living under an Americanized version of Sharia law. And I'll say that there was I don't know if it was an interest group or whatever, that tried to buy a plot of land in Lino Lakes, Minnesota. And they wanted to build a Muslim community inside the city of Lino Lakes with shops and homes to be basically its own town within a town. And to me, that sounded like almost bordering on a caliphate, because it would have been Muslim rules with Muslim-only residents, and a giant mosque in the middle. And I cannot tell you how fucking much that worried me, but thankfully enough people in the city of Lino Lakes went, fuck this shit, and they yelled at the city at the town hall meetings, and it got shot down. But I want you to think about, you come here to assimilate. Name me another religion that has a call to prayer played over loudspeakers in the city of Minneapolis. You might hear church bells ringing, but the Muslim call to prayer is going through speakers in certain neighborhoods so people can hear it in the streets and nearby, as opposed to how it used to be broadcast on phone apps. We did an episode about this shit. And shit like that in Dearborn. And I'm thinking to myself, they're coming here, they're taking over these cities, and it doesn't seem like they are embracing the American way, and it's very bothersome to me. Not because I don't understand it. I understand Islam. I just also know that it's the only religion I can think of that has a segment of its religious population or followers that believe in old-timey, let's kill the heathens that don't believe in our God type of shit with their jihad. And we don't jihad in America. I mean, we kind of go shoot up schools and stuff and Walmart parking lots, but we don't jihad.
Well, no, the religious extremists here hoard guns and think they're Jesus and sleep with underage girls.
Well,
You're
yes,
right. Yeah.
yes, if we're going Waco style.
Yeah. Or the weird Mormon cults and stuff like that.
Oh, God, don't get me started on those fuckers.
Right, see? Yeah, there's more than just... Yeah, but David Koresh is the most infamous.
Yeah, so troublemakers, problem actors. I don't mean people that suck at acting.
Mm-hmm. People
that will go out there and commit crimes and they don't give any fucks about our rules and our society or our taboos. They're going to do what they're going to do, and they don't care.
How is that any different from any other American, though?
Because they're coming here for the American way, and then they get here and they shun it, and then they're on the feed bag, and then they're also committing crimes, and they're detracting away from the quality of life for people that do come here and want to contribute, and those that were born here and do contribute. And I just think that a more concerted effort would be made to focus on those types of people being deported, not all these Hispanics, and pretending like we're solving this non-existent boogeyman issue of Latino gangs. There are Latino gangs, and there are a problem. There's been places in certain towns, I believe there were some in New York and Pennsylvania, where literal gangs attacked people with machetes and stuff. We should be fucking executing them. It would be way easier. But you don't like to go so quick to the hang 'em high or electric chair or firing squad 'em as I do to get rid of the problem permanently. So then the issue then becomes, if you're trying to find a compromise between letting everybody in and offing the ones that are the problem, is you take the ones that are the problem and get them the fuck out, so the ones that do want to come here have a place to be here and can live the American way amongst us and become our neighbors and friends, so we can be that melting pot that we're supposed to be without the problematic portion of their group that wants no part of that.
Yeah. The biggest problem I have with this administration is that supposedly that was what they were telling us that they were going to do. That was going to be exactly what they were supposed to do.
You can't
right?
see me, but I'm nodding, yes.
Yes, they were going to get rid of the violent criminals, because it was supposedly all this migrant crime going on, and then they started going after the day laborers, right? They started going after the people who had been here for 20 years who have kids, grandkids, have established businesses that are functioning parts of our society on so many levels, economically, socially. That's not the criminals, right? They may have gotten here illegally, but they are just as American as everybody else here. And they may not have the same right because they weren't born here and they didn't come through legal channels, but make them legal then.
Give them the tools to succeed, to gain citizenship that they want because they want to be here and they want to contribute.
Right. Fast pass those people in. Otherwise, you're just being racist, and it's selective racism. And then you start looking at things more politically. Look at all the shit he's doing with these states and trying to get extra legislators out of certain red states, right? Everything
redistricting.
Everything right now is about them winning and staying in control. And I see that because they claimed all this illegal voting that didn't exist. They want to claim it's all these illegal migrants that were voting. It didn't happen.
If they're illegal and they don't want to be caught, why would they show up to a fucking voting booth?
Like, none of this stuff really makes sense when you think about it in long term. And most of us can see that you're getting rid of functioning members of society and people who are contributing. That's only going to hurt us in the long term. And I think a lot of us see it. And that's why a lot of people do have issues with it. I also know there's a lot of racist people, though, that are just fine. Let's get rid of them all. And they shouldn't be here. And they think all the problems are going to be solved. Well, good luck. The problems are still going to be there, and probably they're going to be worse.
Well, I can tell you this much. You'll find that in the home care and the care facility, you'll find a lot of Africans working there because they'll take the jobs because of the wages, because they don't require them necessarily of the highest amount of schooling.
Yes.
But there's a number of issues in this state. I know people that are regional directors and have worked with group home companies where they have a large portion of Africans that come to get jobs. Mm-hmm. And then they don't show up on time. And then when they get scolded or written up for not showing up on time, they cry racism. And then when they get fired for having too many write-ups, they have a cousin that's an attorney that will file a discrimination lawsuit
against,
and it's an entire racket, and it is a lot of Somalis doing this, where they get a job, they suck on purpose, they get fired, they then sue you. You want to settle out of court because you don't have the money to fight it because you're a fucking company that takes care of disabled people. So you pay them a little bit of money, and then what do? They send it back home.
Interestingly enough, and this is going to be a little bit of a left turn, but there is a connection, I swear. I was listening to NPR, and they were talking about the differences between America and Chinese society when it comes to technology and innovation. And one of the biggest things that I took away from it was they pointed out America is, and this is almost in all sectors, is a litigation first society. Mm-hmm. We spend so much time getting tied up in lawyers and dealing with lawyers when it comes to just about anything that we don't get anything done, right? That's why we can't get these environmental things done. That's why we can't advance on some of these other initiatives, because everything always gets tied up in court. California is infamous for it, right? They have all these green initiatives, but then it takes forever to get approval just to put in a shed in your backyard, right? You know what I mean? Like, you get so caught up in red tape out there that you can't get anything done. So we have to somehow as a society get past this, but it will be our destruction. It'll be our ruin. And it goes all the way back to your parenting app and the lawyers.
Yeah, because that's all the system does is find ways to keep itself going and make money for the lawyers and the programs that are run that the judges suggest people to.
Yep.
Treatment, counseling, anger management, couples, you name it.
Right. I don't feel like those should be state-run businesses, because in a way they'd be referring people to the state and therefore making money off of people. But at the same point in time, our institutions are in the business of sending business to private business, right? You know what I mean? Like that shouldn't be it either.
Let me throw out one last screwy idea here. What if instead of trying to find countries that'll take these people back, prison island?
Yeah, we go back to some 80s movie theme.
Yeah, I'm dead serious. We have a prison island and we just send them there.
Yeah. And
there's no getting out of it. You go there and then fucking figure it out. And it's going to be like that Ray Liotta movie, No Escape.
Yeah, yeah.
And sucks that it turns into Lord of the Flies, but I mean, if you don't do the crime, you don't have to do the time. It solves the problem of them not being out in society raping.
I guess it just creates a whole different set of problems.
That's an island problem. It's not our problem.
Yeah.
We just send you there. You fucking shouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
Interact with the show on Twitter at What Do We Call It? That is at What Do We Call It? You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/group/What Do We Call It podcast show. For the What Do We Call It podcast, I'm Jmann.
This is Steiny.
And that's the end.